All right, everyone. Happy Halloween! We should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, where we will unpause and then repause. Pre-59 Cuban, Spoopy Clank, that's what I'm talking about. Drennan, I'm not feeling it this year for Halloween. Bah humbug. I like every Halloween. For me, all of October tends to be Halloween anyway. We do have some news that we can cover, but mainly this is going to be more of a Bant stream, I think, because I kind of wanted to talk about, spooky stuff, actually. Instead of just politics, I have to do that every single day. I don't think some people realize eventually it gets a little bit on the old side. I like politics. I love analyzing things. I like statistics and polls. But, there's other things that I would like to talk about. DVS Lord. A Styx Hexenhammer is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to. Wonder, have any of you ever seen that Soviet version of Lord of the Rings? It's made in the 80s or something like that. It's a very, very interesting movie, actually. I can't remember exactly the title of it. Jeffsky, eyeliner? What the fuck? It's Halloween, so I can get away with it. Anyways, yeah, we do have a few news stories. We've got Enton rambling about the shutdown not helping the Democrats. This is something that Trump really should probably pay attention to, honestly. Because if the polls are showing that your opponent is basically, clubbing their own foot with a mallet, you probably don't want to interrupt them when they're making a mistake. I believe that it's a mistake to try, therefore, to call for the end of the filibuster. I don't think that's a good idea. Talked about it this morning. It's more like, hey, temporarily this is going to be helpful. Long term, it's going to be real goddamn unhelpful. Wikipedia's co-founder continues on his tirade against the site that he helped to found, which is justified. It's a Wikipedia co-founder. Left-wing bias on the site will require a complete overhaul to address. The problem is not with Wikipedia, though. Fewer and fewer people bother to use it, although it is pushed heavily by Google's algorithm especially. The unfortunate part is that it gets crawled by AI. So that's really the problem that you're dealing with. And then there was some sort of potential terrorist attack that the FBI is claiming that they thwarted. If that's true, it would be a revelation, because normally the FBI allows them to happen. It'd be nice if the FBI were led by people that actually did their job. We're hoping that's actually the case here. I have reservations about both Patel and Bonchino, but in this particular instance, it looks like supposedly they actually managed to thwart a terrorist attack. Hasn't happened in quite some time. Then we've got Snap benefits, of course. We might have Snapocalypse tomorrow, November 1st. We're not sure about the looming court decision, whether they're going to force, supplementary aid to be given into the program or not. Technically speaking, I would side with the Trump administration in saying there's no onus on them to free up the money. For pragmatic purposes, though, the Trump administration should just fucking free up the money. By the way, I had food poisoning the other day. I was eating from some Chinese food, and it didn't really sit well with me. Although I will admit that their salad was delicious. I don't know what kind of stuff they put in the peanut sauce, but it was really good. Cooking Inferno. So, Pelosi has magnificent mommy milkers, but Greta's tits are still better. What is it about thirst for Greta Thunberg? I will never understand this. She probably gets fucked on the reg by all of the mainly male crew, so, it's probably a little bit worn out down there, just saying. Copium Poppies, we dropped a new music video for our song Dimitri's Curse today. Check it out, available on YouTube and, if you must, Rumble. JDA79, weed is good. Fuck Dirkf. AOC is the hottest politician. No, that would be Anna Luna. It's easily Anna Luna on that token. So would. Just saying. I don't understand thirst for AOC either. Unfortunately, personality does actually play a role in attractiveness. Just a second here. Yes, the docket is actually loaded. I was waiting on one of the archives, actually. It wasn't actually ready yet. Wartooth. You realize today is All Hallows Eve and not yesterday? Tomorrow is All Saints' Day Sunday. Fuck the Saints. All Souls Day. You call yourself a pagan? You are a phony hack. Yes, no, I've always understood All Hallows Eve is the eve before Halloween. Then you have Halloween, and then some people do the Saints' Day thing. I myself do not, because I am not Catholic. Yeah, Shady, I'd take MTG or the other Texas gunslinger chick, Bobert, I think, over AOC every time. I would say, as far as attractiveness, Anna Luna is the most attractive, and then Bobert would be a close second. Opinionated Junkie, you're one of the only people who doesn't have their heads up their butt on Snap situation. Direct anger at left, not on our side by saying ban Snap. Exactly. It's one of the few welfare programs that pretty much fucking pays for itself. Just give it the continuing finances, let it continue. The Democrats, therefore, they have one less arrow in their quiver. It's nuts to let it lapse. And Trump should get out ahead of this and say, I've decided to redirect the funds. Yeah, it's discretionary spending. I have the ability to do that. Therefore, a court decision is not necessary. Fuck Durgf, but AOC is fine, converting her to MAGA. No, she's not fine as fuck. You must be really thirsty if you think that that's beyond mid, so to speak. Yeah, I'd let AOC mix me a drink maybe, but she'd probably poison me. Other than that, no further use. Copium poppies. Food poisoning? Did they use gutter oil? No, but like the ginger for the sushi, it smelled of bleach, and it also smelled a little bit of decay. Clearly, they were using old ginger that had been probably left open for a considerable period of time, and they literally bleached the shit. So I didn't touch it. I'm like, one sniff and I'm done. Copium, by the way, Sticks, check your DMs. I shall. Last beacon, peanut sauce, over and over again. Cooking Inferno, I only thirst for Christy Canyon, but I grew up with her. Greta comes in a rough second. I have no clue who Christy Canyon is. Greta Thunberg is not terribly ugly or anything like that. It's just look at the personality. This does matter. Unless you're just going to try to hit it and quit it, you're going to have to try to find a person that actually has a measurable personality and some degree of intelligence. Otherwise, you'll be let down in the end. Copium poppies. Sushi at a Chinese restaurant seems legit. Well, an Asian restaurant. It's both Japanese and Chinese. The sushi wasn't bad, per se. It's just that their ginger quite clearly was not actually edible. Spucko, AOC hit the wall. Again, not a person who's ugly, just a person who has a miserable personality disorder. Sigil Stone, Snap does not pay for itself. That lie is based on Keynesian debt economics that government spending equals GDP line go up. It doesn't account for taxes and fees and is just bullshit. Snap is insolvent. Yeah, but it's the taxes on what's being purchased by Snap that partially refunds the program. This is unique to government programs because most of them, that doesn't happen. Also, I would like to think that it pays off, and I mean, I believe in RFK Jr. and Trump's reforms with regards to what food you can buy. Because having a healthier population means also less medical debt in the future. I think that this is a good idea, actually. So anyway, I support the SNAP program. I do not believe it should be ended, certainly, and it should be funded. If only for politically pragmatic reasons, any reasonable person in the situation would fund it. No, Liver Mickey. Sticks, I saw a joyful trader, lay happy merchant, doing the hand rub thing in the candy discount aisle. I like that meme. You should be able to make fun of everyone. It does not matter who they are. I make fun of honkies all the time. I am one. Cooking Inferno. Christy Canyon is probably the greatest big boob porn star of the 80s and 90s. Jesus, Sticks, do your porn research. I have never once in my life gotten off to porn that didn't involve me myself in an interpersonal setting. So, porn that I made with somebody else. Or singular lesbian or something like that. I am not interested in what you would call straight porn. I consider gay porn, actually. Whether you're a male or a female, if you're watching a dick and a vagina at the same time, technically that makes you gay. Or at least bi. Copium Poppies. Did we mention we released a new music video? Everyone should watch it and leave likes and comments. Good idea. Dominic Anise. Sticks is porn. Ooh la la. Oh my, says George Decay. But no, I think that a dude is not truly straight if he likes watching another dude doing sexual things with a woman, because there's a dick involved. It doesn't make any fucking sense, actually. I know, some people will disagree with me. That is fine. This happens from time to time. Let's get to our sponsors before we get to the news, and then we'll talk about some spoopy stuff. I'm hoping that people will talk about the paranormal, ghost encounters, UFOs, and stuff like that. Sounds like a good material for Halloween stream. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get your mushroom pills. Yeah, baby. Somebody's playing music really, really loud, and I may have to address that. I think that's going to probably bleed through. Anyways, cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. I take them every single morning. Most of the time, I also take one around midday or thereabouts. There's Brain Squared, there's Radiant Energy, there's Immune Renew, and so forth. There's also the Doggo Snacks. Yeah, doggy dose. They work really, really well. Doggos apparently fucking love them. I'm not surprised, considering the smell. We've got BiltongUSA.com. Anytime BiltongUSA.com is mentioned, it is mandatory. We must use one of the spreads that Anton has sent. Bovrite is definitely the best of the three. Oh, you can put this in beef stew. You take about a teaspoon of it, and you put it in your vegetable soup, and it adds a beefy flavor. So then it's like beef and vegetable. It may no longer be vegetarian, but it doesn't matter. You can also get you all sorts of meats. Wagyu, Angus, venison, bison, cabanassi. Stuff that you've never even heard existed in many cases, by the way. Sticks, Hex, and Hammer, mugs, tumblers, and shirts available as well. And finally, jamandbean.com. That's my coffee supplier. I love the Clank blend. Yeah, it doesn't last long around here. I've had to give some of the bags to other people because I'm like, you've got to try this shit. And it's always really good. They've also got splendid teas. There was a cinnamon chai tea, actually, earlier. I am a big fan of cinnamon in tea, not a huge fan of chai, so yeah, on that one, I think I'll stick with the Yunnan Jig, or that jasmine tea, or the Healer. They've got a lot of teas. They're all delicious. Snakes Bleed Red. Owen is so upset Nick was on Tucker's show. It's making him lose his mind. I don't know much about this, actually. Yeah, we can discuss anything. Politics, the paranormal, your own experiences with ghosts and ghoulies and various other entities and stuff like that. It's fucking Halloween, so this is not serious stream. This is the unserious stream. CNN's Enton. Now keep in mind, this is from CNN. Shutdown not helping Democrats in polls. No shit, Sherlock. It was entirely predictable. The fact is that the Democrats are taking a bruising right now. Most people are actually blaming them for the shutdown. They are fundamentally correct to do so. This is the Schumer shutdown. Again, though, there is that side issue of the SNAP benefits. If Trump does not act, and the court does not act, with regards to SNAP benefits, there will probably be at least some sporadic looting and protesting and things like that. Basically, the Democrats will say, Trump is stealing your food. You know, it's being provided by taxpayer money, but somehow he's stealing it from you. Even though the government appropriated the funds in the first place, he's the head of the government. A little bit of an odd issue. But people do not have the intelligence to understand that. Therefore, they will blame, generally, the Trump administration. Up until now, they've generally blamed the Democrats. And part of it's partisans, of course. You know, Republicans are going to blame the Dems. Democrats are going to blame the GOP. This is perfectly normal. But that growing segment of society that is much more independent, they will lean in one direction or another. They simply have to be convinced in which direction to lean. Trump could very, very easily tilt the scales in the GOP's favor by simply freeing up the funds and making a speech today saying, hey, the Democrats want to take away your food stamps. We have decided to secure them. And while a court is involved, we've decided to preempt their decision. We've made it for them. Oh, and he can attack the judiciary, by the way, at the exact same time. It's a two-hitter. Dude, I mean, he's crazy if he doesn't take the opportunity. Just saying, that would be a mistake. Unfortunately, I believe that's a mistake he will indeed make. Cooking Inferno. So, for Halloween, I'm dressed as a Catholic Inquisitor. As a Luciferian priest, I thought the juxtaposition was fun. Sounds pretty cool. Send me a picture on Twitter. Yeah, for Halloween, I don't really have to dress up because, you know, I dress this way every day, so. All I did was I put a little bit of lightener on my face and, you know, some eyeliner and called it a day. Game Hall. Never. The Purple Drank Riot, says Broken Prophet. Yes, indeed. Yeah, the problem is that there are people that are reliant upon SNAP for supplementary food. Some of them have kids and stuff. They're going to be awfully pissed since it's about 40 million people. By the way, it was funny the other day, a lot of people, Lore Lightfoot, you know, the one that I debated, the ultra-liberal chick, she didn't get the joke. She shared a heat map, actually, looking at SNAP benefits and things like that, and poverty and so forth. She did not realize this was a racial demographic heat map. She had no fucking goddamn clue whatsoever. And I laughed my ass off at this. She shares a heat map from another user on Twitter that's quite literally the proportion of black people per county, and was you know, extrapolating from that, not realizing that it was a racial demographic map. And they do overlap fairly easily, just saying. They also overlap with cities that are run by Democrats, but she didn't understand that either. I like Lore Lightfoot. Very least she was willing to debate me. That's more than I can say for most leftoids. Copium Poppies. No blackface? Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about going out and grabbing some of the charcoal and smearing it all over myself and doing mammy or something like that, but yeah. Yeah, we got the Purple Drank Riots. The Fried Chicken Riots. What do you mean that I can't buy Red Bull anymore with my food stamps? The hell's wrong with you? I remember, it was weird, like, for the brief period that I was on food stamps many years ago, and this is another reason why I don't believe in ending SNAP, because I know what it's like, alright? It's humiliating to have to whip out that card and pay for your fucking food with that. And so, you know, sensible people with some sort of soul, typically they're not buying a bunch of junk food, they're simply supplementing food in general. And you buy cheap stuff, generally speaking, like it's going to be all off-brand and shit. But it is helpful. But at the time, it was weird because you couldn't get a Monster energy drink, but you could get Red Bull. I don't know, it's considered a supplement or something like that. At least under the current system, you can actually buy that with SNAP benefits. I myself did not, but I realized that you were actually able to do that. Tim Hayes. The sun shines east, the sun shines west, but I know where the sun shines best. Sigil. Styx has no theory of mind for people with no shame. Yes, but which one is worse? You dispossess tens of millions of people of basic necessities, or some people, a much smaller proportion, are grifting the system. Honestly, I'd rather my taxpayer money go to pay even the grifters than to bomb children in Yemen. So I have no problem with that. SNAP generally pays for itself. Cooking Inferno. Yeah, but Styx, I heard on NPR from a she-boon with 8 kids saying she was going to rob grocery stores if her SNAP doesn't come in. Yeah, that's fine. Copium Poppies. There's still time. Stream just started. It will be going on for a while. This is the spooky stream. I just think that I don't want to dispossess tens of millions of American people of something that is necessary for their continued existence simply despite a few million people, it's a much smaller number, that are, they're obviously gaming the system. I would just say, okay, whatever, take the fucking food. As long as you're not able to buy junk food and stuff, it wouldn't be a problem now, would it? Actually, Trump is saving the SNAP system by reforming it, him and RFK Jr., which is absolutely hilarious. Again, another liberal victory. It comes from the Republican Party. Yankee Northwest, here's a few bucks for introducing me to the Great Dolomite. Oh yeah, I've got to watch that later. I'll be waiting for him to roll up in the pumpkin patch in his caddy. Yeah, watch the Great Dolomite. Just trust me. It's the ultimate Halloween movie. It's basically they took Charlie Brown's Halloween movie and made it like stereotypically ghetto, African American and stuff, and it's hysterical. They also did, what else did they do? They did Valentine's Day. They did, Christmas, obviously. And then there was the one where it was, what was it? Ramadan, I think? Yeah, Ramadan was one of them. It's hysterical. And this is from the early 2000s. This is from, before I was even really on the internet. It's from Most Offensive. Look them up if you can. It's the Great Dolomite. And then he throws a malt liquor at him. Rama what? Rama your lance along my shredded crevice? Yeah, lots of crime and drug references in that. Among other things. Wikipedia co-founder, left-wing bias on the site will require a complete overhaul to address. I agree with him completely. But I do not care if Wikipedia lives or dies. I don't understand why at this point he cares whether it lives or dies. What I care about is that Wikipedia is crawled by a bunch of AI systems, which means that the material that people are seeing, the facts so-called that they're seeing, are not always actually factual at all. They've been designed by humans with intrinsic bias associated thereby. Owl of Athena, what are your favorite Halloween specials? Well, the Great Dolomite actually would be one of them. I watched Hocus Pocus the other night. That's a tradition. The day before Halloween, you watch Hocus Pocus. You can also watch it on Halloween. It's a good movie. Omri Katz, Bette Midler's in it. For what it's worth, Sarah Jessica Parker back when she was hot, Although she does play technically a pedophile in the movie. Yeah. I already read that one. Copium Poppies, I meant the blackface. There's still time to rub charcoal on your face. Yeah, but it's been raining so much that it's too wet to use. Unfortunately. Cooking Inferno. Sticks, do yourself a huge favor. Watch the film Hereditary in the Dark. You'll love it. Hereditary in the Dark. Here, I'll docket that just now. All right. I think you mean the movie just Hereditary. And you're thinking of, at least AI believes that you're thinking of a scene from the movie. I don't know. Copium Poppy Sticks, seriously, watch the Conjuring movies today. You won't be disappointed. Yeah, I've seen a few clips. Looked good. JD, the Black Charlie Brown dubs are fucking epic. Exactly. Oh, by the way, I finally found that song the other day with the help of Grok. I'm going to post it. This is the song that I looked for more than 20 years. I saw it on VH1's I Love the 80s way, way back. Goddamn, I don't even know if I was in high school yet. I think I was probably in 9th grade or something like that. But I'm going to post this particular song. If I can get to the goddamn playlist, YouTube has made it a little bit more difficult sometimes. Yeah, no, it's not there. Yeah, this is a big problem with YouTube. Their playlists no longer make any sense, and you have to use the playlist to find music most of the time. It was by Classique Nouveau, actually, which is a great band, but now I'm not sure where it actually went. You gotta be shitting me. It doesn't even load them in order. There's no way to actually change the way that it loads either, if you're using the desktop experience. So it becomes a problem. I'll have to go through my fucking history to find it. Yeah, why not? It's a Halloween stream, so it's all good. I fucking put you. Apparently, I'm not able to add anything to my favorite music playlist at this point, so I'll have to figure it out. Oh, by the way, we've got another moral panic. This time around, it's THC gummies. When I was a kid, people would put razor blades in your apples in order to try to fuck you up. Now they're just giving you weed. I think that we've improved. Supposedly. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that it's Guilty by Classiques Nouveau. I will link this out in the description. Apparently, I am incapable of adding this to a playlist for some unknown reason. I have absolutely no idea why. See, it says it's added to my favorites, but it's not actually there. Normally, you would think it would be in ascending order. Apparently, that's no longer the case with YouTube. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Ah, King of Biltong is here. Yeah, listen to that song. It's pretty great. I can't listen to it right now, but I can share it out. Sticks, I wrote this famous ditty. What do you think? Oh, the grand old Duke of York. He had 12 million... He gave it to a woman he'd never met to not talk about something he didn't do. Yeah, Prince Andrew. Yeah. He's caused a real goddamn problem for the British royals. And, like, Charles is like, I'm not a fan of, so-called King Charles. I also don't like monarchy in general. But, yeah. When Andrew's fucking up that bad, I can understand why you'd be a little bit upset. Anytime Anton is here, we get an extra bit of Bovrite. Too salty, he says. He is wrong. It's actually delicious. It doesn't last long, though. I keep eating it. It has a very slight undertone that reminds me of celery, honestly. Hence why I like it so much. I love celery. Apocalypse Wow, wear blackface for Halloween and say you're Jimmy Kimmel. J.A., previous chat about Hereditary is correct. Scaries. Well, then I'd probably like it. So many cute clankets. Just saying. Benjamin the Dream Wizard, the divine message is here. For in a dream did the spirit of Uriel arise from the ashes to solve the sphere in holy union with his brother Stolas. Rumble.com. Yes, there is a link there. Sounds fun. Cooking Inferno. When I was growing up, Halloween candy had razors, sewing needles, broken glass, and crack. And I just turned out fine. Yeah, they do this every goddamn year. Every year it's a different drug or a different, something that they put in candy or apples or something like that that's going to injure you in some way. But nobody ever put sewing needles in the fucking, candy corn. It makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, let's skewer it on there, kid, and ram it into your throat. Nobody's going to put THC gummies in your kids' stuff. This is more like for adult parties based on Halloween. So instead of having like the kid candy, like the actual like just fucking gummy bears and stuff, they give stuff out to the adults. While it would be cute to see, a situation where an entire party ends up falling apart because everyone gets high, including the kids, that's probably not going to happen. Be funny, but I don't think so. Plaguewin, that crazy lady said she was going to give fentanyl-laced candies to MAGA kids. Well, she has no way of knowing if they're MAGA kids. So that's not going to happen either. There will be a few sporadic cases, like there were in every other Halloween candy panic, I suppose you could call it. There will be a few cases where someone gets drugs, somebody gets a razor blade, but these are very, very rare. It's probably not going to happen. If you go to Highland Park or something, then you might get drugs in your candy. Because the dude's so drugged out, he just doesn't realize which candies are the ones that he intended to give out and which ones he didn't. It wouldn't make economic sense either, because most of the druggies don't have enough money to be able to give out free THC to hundreds of kids. So I wouldn't worry. And if they get THC, okay, so basically they're high on weed, who cares? Alright, they'll be high for a while. They might act a little bit strange. That's the only thing that's gonna happen. Copium, no, seriously, binge watch the movies, not just clips. Perfect franchise for Halloween. I'll have to look into that. Sigil, watch our new music video first. Jeet McStreet Poop. Hello, Sar. You're very popular in India. I want to go to India. Wonder if they celebrate Halloween at all in India. It's funny. When I was in the Netherlands, over the 5 years I was there, Halloween at first was like a totally niche hipster holiday. And so only a handful of people really, had anything to do with it. By the time that I left, though, it had become a full-blown holiday with pumpkins everywhere and shit like that. It's a massive cultural transformation on that. Snakes Bleed Red. Shingalinga says, hello, Sticks, and he wants you to come to India. I would love to. In fact, I was going to cook Indian food. That reminds me that I bought chickpeas for a reason. Honestly, I love Indian food. I love cooking it. Skippy Sticks, you skipped a lot of supers. My apologies. They go fast. If I can find them. No, I didn't skip those. Jeet McStreet Poop. Hello, Sar. I'm your biggest Indian fan. No. No, I didn't skip any of them. I think I missed that one. Anyway, let's get to a little bit more news before we get to paranormal experiences and things of that nature. FBI director says potential terrorist attack over Halloween weekend was averted. If this is true, it means the FBI, for once, actually did its job. I will remain, of course, on the fence as to whether I believe their claim until I am presented with proper evidence. Fortunately, most of it's usually classified, so you're never quite sure. But yeah, I mean, if they stop some parade from getting bombed or something like that, I don't see a problem with it. Cooking Inferno sticks. Do the Dutch do Krampusnacht or any other holiday that includes Santa's helpers? Yes. There is one called Zwarte Piet. It means Black Pete. And I actually made a video on the subject years ago. And I pointed out this is basically like a sort of folk spirit. It's not meant to be an actual person. But people have sort of conflated it with Moors and with the inclusion of black people in the actual Netherlands. And so Santa has basically enslaved them, and they beat small children who are naughty with wooden switches. So in that sense, it's a little bit like Krampusnacht, I suppose. But really, it's based on more pagan, folkish tradition, which is that Santa simply has these little helpers. They just happen to be black. The obvious explanation is that if they're going down chimneys all the time, they end up with blackface on. So these are basically like little elves. And people always complain about the Dutch and how racist they are. How dare you have Zwarte Piet? Well, Zwarte Piet can be construed as a Moor, and there are some elements of maybe the modern civic tradition that sort of echo this. But there's a much more rational explanation for it as well. It's almost a little bit of a demonic figure. It sort of would be like Krampus, I suppose. Snakes bleed red. Yes, Tim Curry as Hexus is one of the greatest roles in all of cinematic history, actually. Hexus is hardcore, dude. Tim Curry did a great job singing in Ferngully, early 90s. He did a great job singing. The animation was superb. And by the way, it was fucking creepy as a kid. Ferngully is not really a little kid's movie. It's really more in the young adult category. You know, the whole part about his body being burned away until he's nothing more than a flaming skeleton? Yeah, that might be a little bit much for a 5-year-old, just saying. If you don't like Tim Curry, then I don't know. There must be something wrong up there. KLSB Soft. Ahoy, Captain Clank. Have a spooky Halloween. By the way, what's the big jar behind the Vegemite glass? I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. Guess what's inside it? Dirt, basically. It's a joke. People kept calling me Captain Sparrow and stuff like that. Like, little kids will, like, come up to me and think I'm a real pirate when I go out in public. And so I figured, and then one chick at the gas station, she was like, can you do the Jack Sparrow dance? But I didn't have a jar of dirt, actually, to do it with. But this was considered amusing. Yeah, anything that Tim Curry touches, by the way, turns to gold. Since it's Halloween, Tim Curry is definitely relevant to our interests. In fact, maybe I'll watch Rocky Horror later. That sounds like fun. I do the time warp, just saying. The only problem with that is that you didn't get to see Little Nell naked. You got to see the other actress's tits, but Little Nell is much hotter. Unfortunately, you had to wait until the BBC special where she tried to make music to continue her career. She's all fucked up now, but back then was still put together. And she did do the swim. And there's this one where she has repeated wardrobe malfunctions, and it's quite clear that they purposely did this. I don't know if it was her idea or if it was the production staff's idea. Matrix Meme sent $49.99, but no comment. Why, thank you very much anyway. Happy Halloween, my friend. Yeah, Bobby Poppinson, the big black cock special. Occult Priestess Magenta for 5 years. Lol. Yeah, I got to get back on Occult Priestess's channel, actually. Skippy Sticks is really, really hard up right now, Bobby. No, I'm just hard because I was thinking of you. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's Halloween, so it is allowed. I wish that I could get the full tone of the Aztec death whistle on here. I can just blow it at a low note. Copium Poppies sent this. Excellent, by the way. That's actually the way that the original one sounded. Imagine 1,000 of those at the same time. But the new ones, they shriek. So they sound more like a lynx that's, injured and dying or something like that. It's quite intimidating. You should put them on a pole. One of those things that the Scottish had. They had those long poles with the horn on the end. But you put like 5 or 6 of these on the end of it. And then you have like 1,000 dudes do it at the same time. It'd be deafening. Big L, the USA was started nuclear testing again. I want a front row seat. I agree with you. I believe that it's perfectly fine to resume nuclear testing. I like how some of the so-called experts are like, well, I don't understand the point. It's really about delivery. Okay, do you think that we have hit the limitation for nuclear design? Where are my neutron bombs, by the way? I want those back as well. We should build about 1,000 of them. That would be fine. Get some neutron bombs. Some big, some small, some tactical. We need to diversify our portfolio, so to speak. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. King of Biltong, did you know we also specialize in imported foods? Check out Biltong USA for a great selection of imported food items, and of course, Biltong, yeah. BiltongUSA.com, code STICKS for 10% off Biltong. I strongly suspect that most people should take up that offer. Everyone could use a little more protein, man. The local Wendigo. I hated that crossdresser thing in that movie. I don't fucking know why people keep praising that freak movie. It's creepy trash for gays. Tim Curry is not actually a crossdresser. He's just a very talented artist. Rocky Horror is one of the best movies ever made. Cooking Inferno. Hey, Occult Priestess. Magenta, huh? Are we talking about the color of your sugar walls? Yeah, I believe in returning to nuclear testing. Ultimately, I think that we should return to making the Davy Crockett system. I believe that we should improve the number of Minuteman missiles that we have. And we should build something bigger than the Tsar Bomba. Just have a couple dozen very, very large nuclear weapons. There is the problem is that the yield that you get declines. It's logarithmic. So 50 megatons is not demonstrably different in many ways from 30 megatons. There's a declining yield that you get. The return on investment begins to decline. But the Tsar Bomba was originally developed to be 100 megatons. They decided to scale it down to 50. And it was still massively impressive. I think that if you had maybe one 500 megaton weapon, or hell, maybe you make it even bigger than that, that would dissuade people from fucking with you. Hey, I can annihilate your entire country in a single hit. You might just want to back off. Sertorius, Biltong, yes. Mike's dong, no. Oh, God. The Dead Night Tiger. Attach Aztec death whistle to your car exhaust. Oh, God. Mikuhuntu, you missed my soup. We're also 60% off candy tomorrow. Yeah, I know. If you have a candy fetish, then you should just wait until November 1st. Where did I miss? I'll try to find it. Oh, Futa is not gay. Um, I've heard the term before. I've never looked into it because I saw it on 4chan first, so I'm assuming that it's something perverted. Just saying. I don't really do that sort of thing. Your own favorite Sticks is not a fan of pornography. It should be legal. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't really absorb it. Valst, real talk, what the fuck is wrong with Krasenstein? At this point, especially with Brian, I'm not 100% sure. He says the weirdest shit. Like, some of it is obviously it's paid for post, and it's just he's spewing it out in order to get money and shit like that. But sometimes it seems like it's his genuine opinion, and sometimes I don't even know what he's fucking talking about. I've actually spoken to Brian Krasenstein once because they were spreading around the video of him with his brother. They were in their like mini bar or something, and it was edited in order to make it look like they were psyop agents, basically. I assure you, they are not intelligent enough to be psyop agents, by the way, being one myself. But it was taken out of context, and I had made a video on it. He directly messaged me, and then I said, well, sorry about that. So I made another video, because people always are selectively editing things. It's happened to me. It's happened to many of you. Anything taken out of context can be damning, so to speak. Tay Lorson. What? Yeah, the Krasensteins are... I don't know. I think they're a little bit on the nutso side. Oh yeah, Midas Touch. I remember them. I haven't seen them in a long time. They don't even appear. And no, PsyOps does not have to do with Mossad. Psychological operations can be fielded by a number of groups of individuals, including non-state actors. To be clear, I'm on your side. I'm trying to promote liberty. That's why I've dedicated my life to promoting it. My message to people is build a skill, lose a vice, the government sucks, and ignore them, and hopefully we will survive as a species. Copium Poppies, for anyone in Oregon or Washington, our friends, Cell Block 3, will be playing at Georgie's Garage and Grill with Beautiful Skeletons, Cosmic Waste, and Cherry Bomb 13. Starts at 8 p.m. 606 Broadway Street, Vancouver, Washington, 98660. I like the term Cherry Bomb. It reminds me of Has-Been Hotel. Turtles Toy Box. Every day is no nut for me anymore, lol, at Rabitha. I don't believe in no nut bullshit. I think that screwing and stuff like that is fun. Yeah, I'll have to look up that, why the hell is Kate Bush playing over here? Oh, that's because the YouTube tab that I had open kept playing actually from the playlist from the one that I added in the first place. From the Classics Nouveau. Bobby Bobbinson, Sticks. Ass, 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 ass. My ass. My ass. My ass. Reminds me of Sean Jean and a few others from ICQ, actually. There was a shit poster that would come into the chat room, and all he would do is ramble about his ass. He would do this for hours unimpeded. He would eventually get banned, jump the ban, and then he would do it all over again. Sometimes he did this for 4 or 5 hours. He was a little bit insane, I think. Yeah, Kate Bush is good. Melon Rye, hey Leon, hope you're having a great Halloween. See you in Andy's chat later. That's what I'm talking about. It's funny, Kate Bush can be a bit polarizing too, because a lot of people think she's one of the greatest things ever to hit music, but then some people, they don't really like her. I think it depends on the song. Running Up That Hill really is a banger, just saying. Bobby, my ass is jiggly as fuck right now. Alright, so instead of talking about your paranormal experiences, I suppose at the moment we're talking about assholes. Sertorius trying to get Anton to recommend squirrel meat recipes. Oh my god. Just saying, chat can get a little bit off the rails sometimes on these live streams. Let's see, just give me a second. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Asses are spooky, Sticks. Yeah, it's like a black hole, I suppose. Matrix meme. Does anyone know why I can't comment on my super chats now? I can send the money, but my comments won't show. This YouTube has recently gone through some sort of update, and I'm not 100% sure exactly what the hell is wrong with the website, but I've had continuous issues uploading. They've changed the entire format, really, with regards to saving things to playlists. The playlists load the most recent song or movie or whatever the hell you're saving into the last position instead of the first, which it used to do by default. I don't even know what the hell is happening with the site. I have no clue. It's like you had the perfect thing going around 2015. All you had to do was retain that and continue updating the site to be faster and stuff like that. That's the only thing you needed to do. Then they deleted the DM function. That made no sense. Skippy, it's run by commies, Sticks. That's what's wrong with it. Yeah, I don't think that you're wrong. That's the problem. Yeah, Cooking Inferno. Styx' playlist is mostly Katy Perry and Boy George. Did you see that Katy Perry's fucking Justin Trudeau? Yeah. I have no clue why this is happening. It's like, okay, you're reasonably attractive. You're also famous and rich, so you're not doing it for the money or the fame. Why? It makes no sense, especially when you just, ended your relationship with Legolas. Snakes Bleed Red. Trudeau is, I believe, divorced, or at least separated. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea why somebody who looks and has, the capabilities of Katy Perry would want to be associated with Trudeau at all. So I'm assuming that they connected on political issues and stuff. There must be a genuine relationship there, I suppose. Because I can't explain it any other way. The hell else would you want to fuck Justin Trudeau? Occult Priestess. Scary Perry and the Power-Hungry Grab. Yeah. Just imagine the smell. Snakes Bleed Red. Why does Nick Fuentes constantly try and say he is an upstanding white family man? What the fuck? I don't think that he's ever claimed to be a family man. If anything, I think, isn't he a Volcel, actually? I think. I could be wrong, but at least at one point he claimed that. Look, I have misgivings about some of Nick Fuentes' beliefs, but overall, At the very least, I do not get the sense that he's being disingenuous. I get the sense that he's marketing more than anything else. In that sense, he's a little bit like Donald Trump. But I don't think that he's lying to everyone all the time, which is good. Unlike the bread tubers and weirdos like that. Bobby, no, Nick is gay. Yeah, there was the thing with him and like the gay porn, but the thing is that could have literally been his idea of a joke. So I don't care. Also, I don't give a shit. It makes no difference to me. Christopher Howell, I had a flash go off in my basement a few months back. Felt just like a picture was taken. I ran up the stairs completely freaked. Yeah, I've had some weird experiences myself. Like that time that there was a ghost that walked across the fucking room when I was in Florida. And I shit you not, perfectly sober, I was not on drugs, I was not asleep, I saw, from the midriff down to the knee roughly, a sort of weird greenish apparition walk across the room. It was real. I'm not going to be gaslit into believing that it wasn't real. It was actually there. I believe that this is just remnant energy and stuff like that. I don't believe that it's actually like, it's not a corporeal being, obviously. But there's some sort of remnant energy that can, I guess, build up under the right conditions. And also, it would have been sinking through the floor had it actually had its full legs. This is probably because the trailer that I was in at the time, double wide by the way, baby, yeah, fried chicken for dinner, was built on, I don't know, Indian burial ground or some shit. Or somebody died in some battle or something. I have no clue, but I do understand what I saw. Didn't you see Stolas once, Styx? Says Arcane. Yes, indeed. I did. Saw it as plain as I can see the screen in front of me now. Stolas does exist. I would tell you who I am, but I hope you guessed my name already. Just saying. Turtle's Toy Box. Stixie seems sober now, but he's been flying high the last few shows. Whee! No, actually, you are completely wrong. No, I don't use drugs, my friend. Cooking Inferno, Halloween story for kids. The Berenstain Bears. Why is mommy moaning? Oh, God. No, Bobby. Stolas is my friend. I realize that some of you come here solely to perturb me. This is perfectly fine. I find it amusing. Dylan the Villain. Venom is classic. Venom's a good band. Yes, absolutely. Turtle's Toy Box. I never claimed to be the devil. When did I ever claim that? And I can't be Stolas. Stolas is an entirely different being. Rebcage. Ghosts do not exist, but multiverse exists probably. I think both exist. I've seen a ghost. I know exactly what I saw. It's just not a corporeal being or anything like that. It's got no intelligence. It's just an energy pattern, so to speak. I don't know, and I don't pretend to know, how they would form, but by some methodology, it is possible for an imprint of something that has happened in the past to replay itself. It appears to be only under certain conditions. One thing I do like, though, like with ghost hunting, I always found this hysterical. Like, they'll go into some German castle, right, from the 1500s, And they'll be talking to them in English. And then they'll be, construing something that they got on one of their little devices as being, some term, usually in English, which is really, really odd since you're in a German castle now, isn't it? This is bullshit. Ghost hunting is fucking bullshit. It's funny. It gives you a little bit of a prickling on the back of your neck, and it's fun. You can go out with your friends and, have a few snacks beforehand, hang out in an old mansion or something, but it's not really real. That being said, I do believe that energy signatures can be left behind. There's a rational explanation for this, by the way. If you imagine that the energy that's put out by a person is capable of being encapsulated in any form whatsoever, it's plausible that it can be effectively replayed under the right conditions. But it's not a real person or a real animal or anything like that. Again, I would note that it's very, very interesting that in some castle from the 1500s in Germany or France or something, everyone's speaking English. That's how you know that it's bullshit. Hell, they probably could barely speak their own language, let alone a foreign one. Cooking Inferno. Hey, Sticks, I'm off to go grab my steak and cheese sub. Happy Halloween, bro. Have a good one, my man. Make sure that steak is done medium rare. If you do it well done, there's going to be a problem. You'll have to subscribe to Razor Fist and abandon Sticks Hexendom. Yes, FB, it's called residual energy. Yeah, I've seen all sorts of weird shit, but I believe that it is important for those of us that practice the occult and so forth. We attempt to rationalize what we're seeing or experiencing. For example, alchemy, great example. Alchemy is primitive chemistry / counterfeiting / a little bit of charlatanism, effectively. I've spoken of this before. It is rationalized, but that's the rational explanation is the real one. Now, there are elements of it that cannot be explained. I would point out, people are still searching for El Dorado and stuff like that. They're still trying to find the City of Gold, the Fountain of Youth, and things like this. People hundreds of years ago thought that they were going to find it. I have a feeling that the more intelligent ones realized, this really ain't there. Now, I didn't find the Fountain of Youth, but I did find a fountain of extremely pure spring water. Well, that's fairly useful now, isn't it? When we talk about the cauldron with an alchemy, for example, I've explained this, but for those of you who haven't heard the explanation, it's very, very simple. You take a cauldron, you put whatever the hell you want in it. It really doesn't matter. Put some gold in a wand that's been hollowed out at the bottom. So this is what you're stirring the cauldron with. Seal it with black wax so that it looks like it's part of the wood. When it goes into the heated water, it melts and the gold comes out. Well, sire, look, I have created gold. I can create much more, but I'm going to need a lot of money in order to do that. Well, you can create gold infinitely. They were charlatans, effectively. At least the counterfeiters were. Others were involved with medicine. They were trying to find novel ways in order to treat diseases. One of them involved, and it's not 100% clear whether it was technically lead, the work of Saturn by Hollandus, of course. It's a medical work. It's not entirely clear whether it was actual lead or antimony that was being used. But a drink was made from it. Presumptively, it was lead because the perspiration and so forth, the purging of the humors, would generally be in line with lead rather than with antimony. But the injection that is prescribed sounds an awful lot like antimony was being used, actually. So it could be that it's a hidden writing. This happens with things like the Steganographia and other writings from that specific period of time, where you're not entirely sure what chemical is actually being used. Then there's the bifold of alchemy. Now, on one hand, you've got works that are chemical in nature. They're about chemical reactions, but they're meant to be secret. And so they basically couch them in religious metaphors. Again, like with the Steganographia or certain other works. Then there are works that are actually about spiritual topics, but they couch them in chemical lore in order to hide the fact that they're trying to convey to their students, their acolytes basically, some sort of spiritual meaning. Both of these things simultaneously existed for hundreds of years, leading to the rise of chemistry. It's fascinating, actually, when you think about it. Yes, Turtles Toy Box, coin clippings. Yes, people were doing a lot of counterfeiting and things like that back then. A huge amount of it. The Petite Albert, I believe it is, has a recipe for fake gold, actually. It would appear to be as gold. It would feel the same as gold, but it ain't gold. It's a lot cheaper. That French work, I think it was the 1740s, if I remember correctly. It's from that special period in time where you had bric-a-brac works. So before, you tended to have highly ritualistic grimoires. Later, you tend to get more rationalistic answers. In this period of time, you had basically what became the model for recipe works, actually. The entire idea of recipes, when we use that term, we use it to denote cooking. So we say, well, this is what you add together in what order, and you've cooked bread, or you've cooked soup, or something like that. But the original term was apothecarian. Recipe is based on the term receipt. A receipt, like at an apothecary. Well, it could be food, it could be medicine, it could be a spell, actually. And that bric-a-brac era is the most fascinating to me. Prior to that, of course, you have no such thing. Also, the concept of barbers. Interestingly enough, back in the old era of the British Empire, barbers were also licensed as apothecarians. They also gave out spells. They also shaved. They did all sorts of things. So they were definitely multifaceted. They were also part of a syndicate that was literally licensed by the extremely bureaucratic British government. But they were giving out spells and, mind-altering substances and stuff like that. This is a fascinating subject. The literary history, when you really get into it, over time, is mind-boggling. It's almost impossible to fathom because of the movement of works over time, over the course of many, many centuries, from one form to another. Anyway, that's a little bit of a rant about barbers and medicine and other things. Yep, Jean-Jacques, gold shaved from the coinage. Yes, they definitely did a lot of counterfeiting. But mainly, they would try to trick some lord or king or something like that with the old stirring trick. So they would simply hollow out the end, put some gold in, seal it with wax. The wax melts away. Hey, there's your gold. All I have to do is put horse shit in this and boil it, and, I can make gold. Yes, FB, barbers did also double as dentists way back in the day. Yeah, apothecarians up until the early 20th century typically were prescribing things that would be considered drugs now. They used to use cocaine drops for children who were teething. They gave out heroin, quite literally, actual heroin. Laudanum was everywhere. Among other things, marijuana was also used. Tobacco was used. Datura, for instance, Datura stramonium, it was smoked in cigarettes, actually, alongside mullein generally, to cure asthmatic complaints. If you were a lunger or something like that. That's a term that 99% of you have never heard. It means tuberculosis. I absolutely love the history of medicine. It's one of my obsessions, actually. Bobby Bobinson, Sticks, would you rather pork a pumpkin or Nancy Pelosi in a scream mask? I'm gonna have to go with the pumpkin, my dude, on that one. K7WHV. They called marijuana Indian cigarettes back in the day. I believe you are correct, actually. Mullen was used as well. What the hell is a wasting disease? Old term. Tuberculosis. Wasting disease is just the crepitation of the body as a result of the infection of tuberculosis. Although it could be misdiagnosed. Somebody could have some other disease, cancer or something, and still waste away. Cezio, when I was a kid, I saw a black orb-like figure the size of a baseball sinking into the floor, distorting the carpet around it, causing a wave-like movement. My bro thinks I saw a fourth-dimensional being. That's possible. Bobby, even Bobby, you are definitely ready for Halloween with such horrific tales. Even though she's wearing a scream mask, you wouldn't be able to see her ghoulish flaps. Yeah, sorry, I would not be able to get it up for Nancy Pelosi. That would be impossible. I mean, imagine, you get into the bedroom, Nancy Pelosi's like, oh, look at these titties. Something like that. Whether she's got a mask on or off, it's not really going to make a difference. You're going to have to be a little bit messed up if you're able to get it up at that point. And look, her husband's a flaming homosexual and likes to have hammer time with other men. There's probably a reason for that. Yeah, here's the challenge. You get $10,000 if you can actually manage to orgasm in front of Nancy Pelosi naked. Most people will lose this challenge. Yes, FB, AIDS. Yeah, AIDS would be a wasting sickness too, but the thing is, AIDS was not really around back when that term was a thing. That's really more from the 18 and early 1900s. Wasting disease. You also have terms like croup. Croup effectively means any lung-heavy bad flu or similar disease. There are 1,000 fucking archaic terms that are in medical literature from all throughout the centuries. It's especially in the 1800s, and their format fucking sucks. It's very, very fascinating to see all of the terms that don't really exist anymore. And some of the diseases that don't really exist anymore. Yeah, nobody's died of smallpox recently, I believe. Yes, consumption or wasting disease, yes. They are interchangeable. They describe a number of diseases, technically speaking, because back then, things were more about the symptom, because they didn't really have an underlying understanding of pathogens the way that we have them today. So the idea of germs, quite literally. They didn't really understand that. So everything was symptomatic. And to try to solve disease, usually they treated symptomatically. This works really well, by the way, for most infections. There are only two examples of things that it doesn't work well for. Viruses and cancer. For bacteria, it works pretty well. For parasites, yeah, you can absolutely purge yourself of parasites. It's not even difficult. For topical problems, psychological problems, those can be treated symptomatically very easily. But for viruses and cancer, unfortunately, symptomatic treatment doesn't work very well. It's like it was funny. There was one time in which, and I can't remember the country in which this was common, but I have a feeling there were some people that had fun with it. When women could not conceive, the priest would, give them a special tissue to put in their vagina in order to make them conceive. Really, it was just they beat off into the tissue. And it was a miracle. All of a sudden they gave birth. It wasn't their father's child, but yeah, that actually happened for a while. The church probably still does that today. Just saying. Not just a string. Happy Halloween! Can I get a trick or rant for the UK government? Another week of loopy disasters and tragedy, and obviously we can't call a spade in the UK. Keir is damn shameless. Yeah, there's nothing, that would be more spooky than being ruled by the UK's current reigning government, actually. So basically, you might as well elect Dracula or something like that. As far as giving him a treat, hopefully something he's allergic to. Copium poppies. Parasites are great for weight loss. Tapeworms are the OG Ozempic. Yeah, kind of true. Yes, Timmy, I am indeed wearing makeup. It's Halloween. Robot Nielsen, is that the same disease that deer get, chronic wasting disease? No, that's a different disease. I think that's a bacterial infection, if I remember correctly. Tuberculosis is a little bit different now, and also like moose and also I believe deer can get brainworms and shit and get all fucked up. Saw a video once, and there was this deer that was drooling all over the place, and it just like sort of sits there and like stares ahead and was following this dude who was freaked out actually about it. It wasn't rabies though. It definitely wasn't rabies, so it had to be some sort of brain infection. That was a long time ago. Anyways, I will be back in a few minutes. I need to use the bathroom. Don't worry, we'll get to more spoopy stuff in a moment. We will be going longer than normal today because it's fucking Halloween. So why the hell not? All right, everyone, we now are back. I'm hoping that I'm actually live. Let's see if that's actually the case. Yeah, let's talk about paranormal stuff that people have seen. That's what I want to talk about. It's Halloween. This is not really, strictly speaking, a politics day. I believe that I have a call coming in, actually. Yeah, I'm going to have to ignore that at the moment. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Welcome, Bach. Yeah, I should listen to some Johann Bach later, I suppose. I have got to fix this tab. By the way, Midge actually the only person to improve upon a David Bowie song. Oscar Gonzalez. I saw a urinal flush itself. It was the old hand flush type. That could be a plumbing problem, honestly. Goo Dragon, my sister's birthday is today. Well, happy birthday to your sister. Drift Speed, Sticks, have you seen a cryptid? Kind of, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. When people say that they see like a sea monster or something like that, usually you're talking about some sort of large fish, maybe a whale or a sturgeon or something. Like Champ is easily accounted for example. There are probably strange creatures in a lake as large as Champlain. Most of the sightings, though, it's a log, it's a moose, it's a sturgeon. Although I do agree with the theory that the lake sturgeon in Champlain are abnormally large because they interbred at one point with sea sturgeon. I believe that Bigfoot is plausible. Not likely, but, it could exist. You could have some sort of nearly extinct hominid species living out in the middle of nowhere. It's a possibility. And I do not believe in extraterrestrial contact with humans. I am certain, actually, that aliens do exist. The universe is far too vast, even the galaxy is far too vast, just this one, the Milky Way, for there not to have been life arising on other planets. I do not believe that our species is particularly unique in any particular way. But I don't think that they have contact with the planet because if they're not particularly advanced, they can't get here. If they're much more advanced, like more advanced than humans, they wouldn't want to come here. There would be no reason for them to do so. Copium Poppies, you should listen to Richelieu instead of Bach. Also, A Perfect Circle improved on Ashes to Ashes by Bowie. Sadly, there are only live versions. Oh, I never heard that one. Perfect Circle, Ashes to Ashes. I'll look that one up. I'm always in the mood for new music. Yeah, I'll have to listen to that later, actually. Reb Cage, one of my favorite topics, the Beast of Gévaudan. It was a subadult male lion. It's quite clear some noble went to Africa, brought back a baby lion to impress the women, and then it got bigger and it escaped and started killing people. And then they covered it up because otherwise the noble is liable for all the damages, and the crown, of course, has to explain to the population this strange animal that to them looks like a wolf because none of them have seen a lion before. Long story short, it was a cover-up. There is a conspiracy involved, absolutely. And if you dug around Montmouchet, eventually you'll find the bones of a dead lion. And that would be the animal that was in question. Copium Poppies. Also, Stone Temple Pilots' cover of Andy Warhol from their Unplugged was way better than Bowie's version. Haven't heard that either. I'll send you a link to APC's version of Ashes to Ashes. Most versions are bootlegs. We'll get you a pre-recorded one, still live but sounds better. Thank you. Yes, with the Beast of Gévaudan, here's my theory. Let me pontificate for a moment. People in rural France would not have known what a lion looked like unless they had served in the military or, that they were nobles or something, so they had traveled to North Africa specifically. They never saw a lion because they weren't native to France. If they therefore saw a lion, they would tend to depict it as a wolf because they had no other way to describe it. But the descriptions are relatively in line with something that would be a lion. Dark stripe across its back, long ropey tufted tail. This is a lion, dude. And so it didn't act the same. It was also a man-eater. The lion was taken probably when it was very young by somebody who was on a hunting expedition, probably killed its mother, took the baby lion back to the court. At first it's all cute and cuddly and roly-poly and wonderful. Look at whatever the hell this creature is and how cute it is, and getting pettings and stuff like that. Got a little bit older, got put in an enclosure because, of course, eventually you probably don't want the lion prowling around your manor, your chateau, so to speak. Eventually, though, they realized that lions are capable of vaulting themselves 10 feet in the air, and it escaped, and so they covered it up. And the crown was made aware of this, probably, through subversive means. That's why they sent out their king's hunters, actually. The arquebus bearer was sent out to kill the beast. In the end, what they produced was a very large wolf, with the claim that they had killed several of its brood. And this was plausible. Now, they had killed the real beast already. And when they realized that it was a lion, they said, shit. And then they said, we don't want to say anything about this. Just fucking bury it in the bushes or something like that. We don't want people to know that a noble actually took this lion back to France, because then there's a big legal problem. Because the French legal system is very bureaucratic. It is very legalistic. I know. I've experienced it myself in New Orleans. Since the French legal system would not have been favorable to disclosing to the largely retarded peasant population that there was actually a lion killing them and it wasn't a wolf, they simply nabbed a wolf that was particularly large, and then they mounted it, put it on display, taxidermied it to make it look even more imposing, and then they dragged it through the streets and eventually buried it. That's all that happened. I don't even think that the original lion, which is what is almost certainly responsible for the attacks, I don't think that that was the corpse that they were literally parading around in southern France. Spike, tough question. If someone is calling for going to murder you or try to inspire someone to do it, at what point does it become self-defense to strike first? If it is a credible threat. If it's if the person says, I'm gonna, kill you with a death ray from the moon, then it would not be justified. But if they start sending you pictures of them holding a gun and say, I'm coming for you, I'm going to kill you, yeah, then it would be justified to defend yourself preemptively, I would suppose. Normally, you'd contact law enforcement, but we all see how good they are. Ribcage, the most interesting and rational theory I've heard thus far on the Beast of Gévaudan. Well, it fits perfectly. Stripe along the back. Okay, that sounds like a lion's mane, right? But if you're a French peasant and you've never seen a lion before, you have no way to interpret it. It's just an oversized wolf. It talks about the snout being different. The tail is long and ropey with a tuft on the end. I can't think of any other species of that size other than a lion that would actually fit the description. And so I think that's what happened. A noble brought a lion back. It got big. It managed to escape. It clearly was scavenging too. The killing pattern has been mapped. If you look at the killing pattern, this particular singular animal was moving from place to place and probably rooting through trash because it didn't know how to hunt properly. You had that problem with the man-eating lions in Africa at one point. And when they finally killed them, they found they're old and basically crippled up. They were predating upon humans and trash as well because they didn't have the ability to hunt wild game anymore. In a climate such as southern France, which is not terribly, terribly cold, but it's not exactly Africa, these lions, or this lion, would have been under stress. We're not sure if it's one or more animals, of course. The pattern, though, looks like a single animal moving from place to place, exhausting resources, and fleeing when confronted, and then moving to a new area. Territoriality, effectively. So the Beast of Gévaudan, in my opinion, was a young male lion. BW, darn it, now Trump is going to get rid of filibuster. Yeah, I covered that earlier. That is a very, very bad idea, in my opinion. I can understand the short-term gain that you get from that. It means that the shutdown ends, right? Okay, you can force things through. Now wait until the government inevitably switches over. Do you really want to give President Bernie Sanders or President whoever the power to override Congress effectively by simply having a simple majority in the Senate? I don't think that that's a good idea. I think it's counterproductive. Long term, it's better to keep the filibuster, in my personal opinion. Yeah, Audio Slave, Sith, yeah, Audio Slave is great. Yeah, do not end the filibuster. Trump, please, relent. We're begging you. It's Halloween. Things are spooky enough right now. Please don't get rid of the filibuster. That would be such a terrible idea. Of course, the Senate's not even, I believe, convened at the moment, so it doesn't really make a difference. Copium Poppies, are you planning on Democrats winning again? They shouldn't be given the chance. Well, it depends on what direction the party takes. If they keep going down this far left road, I can't see the American people warming up to that. If they were to move in the other direction, then I wouldn't even have a problem with them having no filibuster in their way, because they'd actually be governing sanely. But right now, we don't have that. So ending the filibuster knowing there's a possibility of a group that you vehemently oppose taking control is a terrible, terrible idea. The Democrats already ended the filibuster for judicial nominations, for example. When this happened, in what was it, 2013 or something like that, I warned them. I said, this is a bad idea, because people that you don't like are going to use that same power, and they're going to run roughshod over you. What has the GOP been doing most of the last few years? They've been doing exactly what was entirely predictable. It does not take a genius to understand why the filibuster should be required, at the very least, for budgetary discretion, things of that nature. Copium Poppies, no, they're already fucked up. It doesn't matter what direction they pretend to move in. They are commies, and should all be arrested, not allowed to run in elections, as if they are people. There are some examples of exceptions, however, I would opine. I agree with you on most of them, though. When you look at the fact that the Democratic Party now is ostensibly run by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Mamdani, yeah, they're fucking up real, real bad. Which is why I would rather not have the possibility of them being in control and having no filibuster in their way. I just think that that's unwise. Just saying. He needs some milk. Happy Halloween, Sticks and Clankers. Happy Halloween to you as well, my friend. Liberty Punk. Over and under of Kami Mamdani running for prez by 2036. He cannot run for the presidency. He was born in Uganda. He is ineligible for that office. But the over and under of him becoming the New York City mayor is, almost 100%. Copium, no. because we all experience 2020 onward. You can't be sane and affiliated with the left anymore. Well, yes, but there's a difference between Democratic Party and left. The left wing of the party, think of it as a military operation. So you've got flanks and various units, groups that are, composed together. But they're not all the same. You've got infantry, you've got artillery, you've got cavalry. And they're in different positions and doing different things and everything like that. I love Napoleon Total War. I think I'll play it later, actually. Under the circumstances, that would be like saying because these couple of units over here are dysfunctional, that the entire army is. Now, it's a weakness, a glaring one, but then there will always be people who rally and are better at what they're doing. The left is a sickness within the Democratic Party. It's a plague, it's a cancer, and they need to eradicate it. So far, they have stubbornly resisted doing so. This is much to their detriment, by the way. If they continue to acknowledge the legitimacy of the far, far left, they're going to get punished for it severely. What they should be doing is trying to bring the Union Dems back on board, and then castigate the left and say, go vote for the Communist Party or something like that. So far, they have stubbornly resisted doing so. Spike. I think if the Republicans can redraw districts and the Democrats stay to the left, I think the Republicans expand the House in 2026. I agree with you. Along with a few Dems going independent, the DNC is done. They will not be done. They'll simply have to reform their party. It'll take them a while. CJ, no, you're either left-wing or you're right-wing, and Styx is right-wing. You are incorrect, sir. If I have wings, it's 2 of them, in order to fly. Cyber Yankee, ahoy, Captain Lanky Clank. Check out Ocean State Job Lot. There is one in Rutland. Interesting imported foods and MREs on sale. Oh, for $3.99? They even have menu 5. Oh, I was not aware of this. Thank you very much. Ocean State Job Lot. Let me look that up. You've piqued my interest. We'll make sure to use that as a jumping point. Yes, Spaced Acid Fox. That is a Manson quote, specifically from Squeaky. I am neither left-wing nor right-wing. I am pro-freedom. That means that I'll side with people who are ostensibly right or ostensibly left, depending on their stance on issues. I side solidly with the right wing on guns. In fact, I'm much further to the right than the average right-winger. And on freedom of expression at this point. But I also believe in a woman's right to choose, which rankles some people. That's fine. I do not have a problem with people for being gay or anything like that, as long as they're not perving on kids or anything like that. It's perfectly fine. It's called nuance. It's called, I think outside of the box. I'm not interested in prepackaged views and stuff like that. That's why I'm a rebel, a pirate, a maverick. And I fucking love it. You are correct, Tim Hill. Nothing in the Constitution about the filibuster. It just says Congress can write its own parliamentary rules. Yeah, and I'm suggesting that it's good to retain that parliamentary rule. Because the, opposite is basically handing the ability to people that you don't like to do whatever the fuck they want, assuming they get a slim majority. That doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't give a shit if it's the GOP or the Democrats that are leading things at that point. Get rid of the filibuster. What's the GOP gonna do? Do you really trust Lindsey Graham and people like that in the GOP to really have, the American people in mind in their rulings? I think that's a bad idea. That's almost as bad as the Democratic Party at the moment. BW. Why won't Trump revive Commie Control Act? Solves a lot. That works. Yes, I do believe in banning communists from the country. Copium poppies. Democrats are inherently anti-freedom. That's why they routinely attack free speech and Second Amendment. Not always, though. There are some Democrats who resist. I don't believe that partisan politics really overlaps fully with ideology. There are also some people in the GOP who don't want free expression. And hell, it was the GOP, by the way, need I remind you, that actually passed through the red flag bullshit, which is completely unconstitutional and totally retarded and will not save any lives. The GOP led that charge. It wasn't the Democrats, dude. So honestly, I would say keep government as constrained as possible. Anything that slows it down is probably a good idea. Senate filibuster there plays its role. Is it unfortunate situationally? Yes. Is it unfortunate long term? No. I believe that it's more on the helpful side. Let me see. Oh yeah, the Dutch election. Yeah, let me look that up. Dutch centrist D66 party confirmed as election winner. Well, that really sucks. At one point, most of the congressional individuals there, well, parliamentary individuals, were part of a tractor party, actually. I saw some of the tractor protests. I was glad that I was there. I like how they always castigate Geert Wilders as anti-Islam. Yeah, he opposes Islamofascism. It appears to be a tie, actually. Huh. Well, we'll have to wait until tomorrow to get further analysis, I suppose. Scanman, the Dutch are nuts for the way they voted. Yeah, I like how they call that the centrist party, when actually Wilders represents the centrist party. Hey, we want to defend our borders. By the way, taxes should be a bit lower. I'm not sure how this became right-wing extremism. The amount of propaganda that comes out of the press in the Eurozone is sheer. We'll put it that way. I'd know. I lived in the Netherlands for 5 fucking years. By the way, had a great time. The Dutch are pretty cool people. Copium poppies. They still side with those who do. GOP sucks too, but Democrats are openly anti-freedom and should be barred from holding office. Yeah, but there's no legal methodology to do that. Commies aren't people. While I agree that people who openly express communistic tendencies should not be able to seek office, it would be problematic because unless the person openly proclaims themselves a commie, how do you apply the law? See, the law is very, very complex, unfortunately. Should be much more simplistic. If somebody says, hey, I'm a commie, well, then you shouldn't be able to hold office. But if somebody says, hey, no, I'm not really a commie, I'm a democratic socialist. I mean, everything that I believe in is in line with Karl Marx, but, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the whole problem. We've got to find a different legal methodology. In fact, I believe in reforming the entire legal system. We should get rid of every aspect of Napoleonic law. We should get rid of English common law. And we should create an American system. It should be an entirely new legal system. It's called using fucking common sense. Copium, why do you always default to legal methodology? Fuck the law. I agree with you. I'm saying we should abolish it and rebuild it. But until that happens, we're going to have to deal with the law that we've currently got in place. Based Acid Fox, how much of the Quran have you read? The whole thing, along with the Sahih Muslim and the Sahih al-Bukhari. Spike. Western Europe has pretty much sided with the commies and made World War II completely pointless, as those in power are using Nazi-like laws to rule. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. It's almost like the NSDAP won the Second World War at times. Jacob Castor. Yeah, I'm not a communist, I'm a democratic socialist. I know, see, that's the problem. I would be perfectly fine with barring communists from holding office. I would also like to bar people with dual citizenship from holding any form of federal office. If it's at the state level, nobody really gives a shit. But there's no legal methodology to do that, so you have to change the actual system itself in order to prevent these things from happening. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Are you going to go down the street with your gun blazing or something like that? That'll work real well. Other people have tried it. All of them have failed. In the case where they don't fail, it usually leads to mass murder. So, yeah, I'm not in favor of that, dude. Amber Obney, Spoopy is a misspelling of spooky on purpose. Copium poppies. Or we could ignore it. I don't think anyone would have a problem if Trump rounded up the left, except the left, and they would be locked up, so it wouldn't matter what they think. Yeah, until 20 or 30 million people decide to hold some sort of communist revolution. Then the United States would be in an even bigger problem. Julie Moss. I am an Aquarius. I don't know about all this other astrological stuff. Occult Priestess could give you that information. She ran my birth chart once. Yeah. Exacerbate Valentine. Oy vey, Sticks, that's anti-Semitic. Dual citizens hold office all the time, especially in North Florida. Yeah, I do not believe that people should be able to have dual citizenship and be in federal office. If you're a mayor or state representative or something like that, I don't really see a problem. But if you are in federal office, so you are paid by the taxpayers of the entire nation, I believe that you should be solely American. I say this as the father of a child who is a dual citizen. She is also Dutch. If she were to get into politics, I would encourage her to give up her Dutch citizenship, actually. Turtles Toy Box. Mossad is going to get sticks for saying that. Fuck Mossad. I've studied Krav Maga myself. Part of my training. People don't believe it. It's funny. When you get to a certain level, you can say like the weirdest shit, and it's actually true. But people will never believe you. So you can say like, hey, I'm actually Satan. And then they'll just pat you on the back. They think that it's a joke or something like that. Hey, I've trained in multiple martial arts. And I've deliberately destroyed my ability to feel pain on purpose. I also know about military and survival tactics. I also know about psychological operations. But none of you will believe it. You'll all think that I'm just bullshitting you. It's hysterical. You can be brutally honest, but people will never actually believe it. So, they don't have any counter to it. Spike, have you seen clips in Iran recently? The women and young are no longer following Sharia law. Plus, the government isn't really enforcing it. Did the Trump strike take the power from the Iranian government? To an extent, I think that it did. I believe that the strikes did a lot more damage than the liberal legacy media wanted to admit to. Because they didn't want to give any credit to the fucking Trump administration. And so in the end, what happens is that people are a little bit more free. It's still an authoritarian society. It's still run by Shia Islamofascism. but it's different than it was before, or so it seems. We will wait and see whether that actually becomes a long-term thing, or whether it's more like a brief interlude. We have to wait for that. Crispy, fun fact, Styx is also ex-KGB. No, I am not. Yeah, Rebcage, psyops, because physical wounds heal. If your mind gets fucked, you will never get over it. Physical wounds heal, my friend. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, stab somebody in the side, they probably recover. It might hurt a little bit when it's going to be rainy weather or something like that, but otherwise, they won't have a problem. Unless you puncture one of their organs. That might be a little bit more substantial. But if you fuck their mind up to the point where they're fucking crazy, it's a little bit different. It's basically like a nuclear bomb for the human mind. Personally, I only use my power for good. I try to tell people exactly what I told you earlier. Learn new skills, drop some vices, just mind your own business and do what you want. Government sucks, and we should constrain it more. I don't understand how this could possibly be conceived of as a malevolent message. Tay Lorson, most leftists can't get more crazy. No, they actually can. You can drive people insane if you want to. All you have to do is have the training to do so. Some of us use it for good. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people well-funded mainly who use it for evil. There are a hell of a lot of PSYOP agents, by the way, on Twitter. Sisson's one of them. Brooklyn Dad, Hanfa Dabrowski. These people are being paid to make their posts. All they have to do is design them. Sometimes it appears that they're using AI to design them, which is not a huge surprise. So there are a handful of us that are trying to fight back against this, let's put it that way. Rebcage, talking about good and evil. I do not think good and evil exists. Am I wrong? Depends on how you prescribe it. If you mean biological pragmatism, that is survivability, good and evil would objectively exist. Good is that which contributes to the survival of the individual and or the group, and evil would be that which is deleterious to it. If you are engaging in some sort of religion, so you believe there's some sort of super, self or something like that, a soul or whatever, then good would be following the laws of that religion in general. Evil would be going against them. So it's both objective and subjective at the same time. Fascinating concept, actually. I've wondered about it myself for years. Last Beacon, speaking of AI, what is your opinion of Sora 2 by OpenAI, and what sort of improvements would you like to see with it? Don't know anything about it. I just use Grok. Now people are talking about Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin, talented individual, very charismatic, also completely fucking evil, also a virulent bigot, and perverted Lenin's teachings, which in turn were a perversion of Marx's teachings, so it doesn't really matter. Also, he probably got poisoned by, he probably got poisoned by the Yugoslavians, which is absolutely hysterical. In fact, I'm going to look this up. Maybe I'll read a little bit of it. With Tito and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, apparently, this may or may not be canonical, but when Stalin almost killed him several times. And on the third attempt, I believe it was the third attempt, not the second one, he sent a letter to Stalin. And he said, you know, don't do that again because the next time I'm going to have you killed and I will actually succeed. And then Stalin died not long after. I have a feeling that Tito actually did kill Joseph Stalin, which is for the benefit of literally everyone that had to live under Stalinism. Not that what came after was much better, but, you know, marginal improvements. Sometimes that's all you can tolerate. We have a cabbage. Wow. And we have 2 potatoes. Goddamn, we're rich. The local Wendigo. No evil in nature, but human nature is naturally evil. Yes, depending on how you classify it. Last weekend, my wish is for like nesting prompts. For example, I want to write a prompt. It plays out, then I write another prompt to add on to the prompt. Onward and onward and onward. Grok tends to do this, actually. If you use the advanced version of Grok 4, it tends to build upon what you've said previously. I don't know if other AI systems use that because I've never used them, so I have no clue. Yeah. Anyways, I've got Hereditary in the Dark, the Ocean State Job Lot. Oh, it's on South Main. Thank you. And then we were talking about Tito, but at some point, unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. I've had a good Halloween stream, that's for fucking sure, but I gotta do a few other things too today, including playing some Napoleon Total War. I took out my revenge on the French the other day. They had 2 groups, right? And I'm allied with Portugal. I was playing as the British. I cut the shit out of them. In the end, their general staff is just sitting next to their cannons, not knowing what to do. And I start marching like regiment after regiment of foot up there. And they fired from the tree line and just fucking wiped them out. It was great. Last weekend, everything's single teaching that Marx instituted in the Communist Manifesto always gets perverted, sort of like what America First always gets wound up perverting. Yeah, but in the case of Marx, he did envision a stateless system. The problem is the methodology to actually get to it does not work. We've seen this over and over again. So the perversion is the use of force in trying to actually create such a state. A small tribe of people, or a small community, could be communistic. They would be able to pull it off. It does not extrapolate to larger structures. The same is, by the way, also true of anarcho-capitalism. A small group of people is perfectly capable of living in peace in an isolated community. If they try to create something like New York City or Moscow, it ain't gonna work. It's just not gonna work. People require some degree of organization. The greater the amount of organization, the greater amount of organization is actually needed within the legal system. Last week, and also I must ask, what would you like for Christmas since Halloween is kind of dying out? No, it ain't dying. It's only 1:53. What would I like for Christmas? Nothing. I don't like receiving gifts. Last weekend, myself personally, I would like to have that ninja sushi maker. Alright, that sounds pretty cool. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to go offline. I need to load things up for tomorrow. I've got a couple of other things I've got to do as well. And I've got some food that I need to eat because I'm fucking starving. And I got to drink this tea. It's not the chai cinnamon, though. I'm not a huge fan of chai. So yeah, I will be back tomorrow. Not on a stream, though. I will make my main videos, and we'll see what happens. I got a lot to do today, my friend. That's about all. Peace.